Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Waco Annual Charity Open presented by Prodigy. We're at the Beast, located alongside the Brazos River. Ella Hansen looking to secure her first Elite Series win. It won't come easy, though. She has plenty of work to do because the likes of Kristen Tatar in a highly contested field, she is ready to go. Ella has just a one-stroke advantage here coming into our championship Sunday, and chasing her will be Kristen Tatar, along with a couple others who are just a few strokes away. Welcome in, everyone. I'm Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, joined alongside four-time world champ and Hall of Famer in Valerie Jenkins. And Val, is today the day? Are we going to see Ella Hansen, a world champion ultimate player, become an Elite Series winner on the Disc Golf Pro Tour?
Only time will tell. And I think the biggest thing for Ella is going to be how she can calm her nerves. We know that when she gets nervous, her putting is just slightly off. She's hitting the basket, but it seems to skip off. And so if she can stay calm, kind of bring herself into her happy place when she's putting, I think she has all the skills to win the tournament today.
And we already know that distance isn't necessarily a factor at this particular course. She has great distance. See if she can put it all together, though. And we're going to take a look at some of the highlights from Ella's career. This was, well, when she was just playing Ultimate. I don't want to say just, but one throw Ella getting it done. As we said, a world champion. Man, watching action like this makes me want to get out there and run around on the field as well. I know that sounds crazy, but it really does excite me. And look at some of these beautiful throws. Ella Hansen looking to become a winner here on the Pro Tour.
And so you talk about her throws, but it's that smoothness that allows her to throw the Frisbee far, which can pay off today.
And we see that she has been in the top three heading into the final round 6 times at Elite Series or Majors. In 2022, she finished in the top 10 out of 20 appearances. So she has yet to get it done, but she has been there. She's been on the stage, and we'll see if she can get it done today. Thanks to blackinkdisc.com, the premium disc golf store. Val, what is she going to need to do?
So course strategy is key. I was talking about those touch shots. So when you get into the woods, throwing slower speed discs is going to be the best case to keep you down the fairway. And when you switch from the open to the woods and back out to the open, reset your mind, refocus on what you should be paying attention to. The wind can pick up, all the things that you need to prepare yourself for when you head down the stretch. And in Ella's case, prepare for anything. This is going to be the highest pressure situation that she's dealt with in her disc golf career. We'll see if she can handle all those nerves and really break through this time.
Our chase card, very, very close to the lead card scores. Just a few off the pace. We see Paige Shue at 7 under, Anna Konsten at 6, Lisa Fakis and Haley King both at 5 under, all within striking distance.
And these are not going to be easy conditions today, Terry. Look at that flanner. The wind is strong and looks like it's already swirling. So good luck to the competitors.
World champion Paige Shue on the tee.
Carolina, Haley King.
Our chase card is off, and while they moved on the fairway, we're going to take a look at our U-Disc course close-up. The Beast, established back in 2003 by our assistant tournament director and Joey Harrell, rated number 3 out of 643 courses that can be found in Texas, has a 4.7 rating on U-Disc. This FPO layout is a par 67 at 7,677 feet. It's the shortest FPO course we'll see until we get to Ledgestone, and hole 10 is listed as having the best scoring separation. Also, hole 18, plenty of danger as we're flying over it now. Find over 14,000 courses on U-Disc, the app for disc golfers.
And I really believe that having this be the shortest course on tour brings all of the competitors into the equation. That's why we're seeing so many of the scores stacked up and close. Doesn't just take the big throws to get the birdies. Can you throw 350 feet down the middle of the fairway accurately? And that's talking about the woods and the open.
Yeah, if you're doing that, you are absolutely contending out here this weekend. Haley King from circle 2. Look from just behind the basket up in the kind of right center side. That's where you find the tee of hole number 2. That's the MPO. Just located a little more right of that is the FPO. Right now hanging out over the out of bounds deep of the basket. Now Lisa Fakis from 9 meters. Paige said in her interview yesterday that she just needs to clean up her putting. She feels like she's missed a number of them that she shouldn't have. Stay on point here on hole number 1.
That's a good feeling to get off to a solid putting start. Especially with, having the spectators there, the first putt of the day, figuring out what the wind's doing and how it's going to affect that putt.
No problems for Anakin. Lisa Fakis pausing for a moment just to see if the wind might calm down for her. Looks like that was effective. She's going to walk away with a par, and Haley King will have the tap-in par as well. So Paige Shue, the only competitor that we just saw with the birdie. Val, you might even say this is a spicy start thanks to our friends over at the Halal Guys. And we're seeing more of a return of Paige Shue here, not only this year, but saw her a couple weeks ago in Las Vegas. And we're looking at the Paige Shue timeline. Of course, winning Worlds in 2018. Las Vegas Challenge is when she took down Katrina Allen in a playoff in 2019. Then she stood down for a little while. She took a break from her touring life. She got married. 2021, she had her daughter Savannah, and then at the beginning here of 2023, she signed with Discraft, and she's out on the tour. She's going to take some time between her and her husband. She said she's going to pick her favorite events where she feels most competitive. She'll play those. And then on the other events, her husband, Grady Shue, he'll go play some events, and then they'll kind of swap back and forth, picking and choosing which events they each want to be at and compete at. So very cool. Great to see Paige Shue out here, back on the tour and ready to go here.
And her timeline goes even farther than that. Paige has been playing since she was a very young kid, so she's been involved with disc golf her entire life.
A near perfect drive here on hole number 2 for Paige. Equally as effective, we have Anakin.
And the key out here on these first couple of wooded holes, just get as much distance as you can. Weave through those trees, make that upshot a little shorter for yourself. And really, you can work with anything. No matter where your drive lands, you could still get the birdie.
Yeah, I was just thinking that this is 531 feet, so somewhat on the short side of a par 4. And as you can see, it even plays downhill by a few feet. Does get a little bit dicier near the basket as it plays almost to a peninsula type green, with it being completely surrounded by out of bounds. And you mentioned that you saw the flanners blowing, so I guess that answers our question about the wind that's out there as you're seeing this live shot. But thanks to our friends over at Canna, we can check out our conditions. Looks like we're seeing temperatures around 60 degrees, humidity at 70, wind speed is at 15 miles per hour. And it's back to being a northerly wind. We saw north to northeast on day 1. Then we saw south to southwest, I believe, on day 2. And now it's showing as a wind coming in from the north. So big thanks to our friends over at Canna for our current conditions. Certainly, it feels like you have all the obstacles out on the course, and then the wind is just a constant out here in Waco. And we're seeing that again this year.
Yeah, the most wind that we've seen all weekend. That first day was just ideal for scoring well, and it's really going to pay off leading into today. The players that played well that first round know what it takes to play well, even in the wind.
Haley King will have a birdie look from just outside of the bullseye.
So a northerly wind means tailwind on hole 1, 2, and 3 before they head into the woods on hole 4. So tailwind can drop the discs, can make them more overstable. These players need to keep that in mind, and you see those 2 hyzer approaches using the wind to their advantage.
And Kristen Tatar, who sits 1 stroke behind Ella Hansen. Certainly in good spirits as she's here for her first event of the 2023 Disc Golf Pro Tour season. Anakin just outside of the bullseye as well.
When the wind's picking up like this, I would want all my upshots in that bullseye. Take any of that pressure from putting away, especially on these elevated baskets.
Oh, and Paige might have been saved, it looks like, by hitting that tree. That looks like it was going to go out of bounds. I believe it stayed in. And we're going to ask you to stay right here. We've got more action on the other side of this commercial break. Our lead card is coming up.
This year, Prodigy is celebrating its 10th year as a disc golf disc manufacturer. In the beginning of this journey, we found out that making discs isn't so easy. It wasn't too long in the process that something just clicked. To celebrate Prodigy's 10-year anniversary, we wanted to bring an old plastic back that you can find in some older runs of M4s, but it is not a plastic from Prodigy's current selection. You will see this logo more on our 10-year anniversary special releases.
This looks perfect. Off the basket. Now it's rolling. It's headed for the OB. This needs to sit. Oh my goodness. It's safe. Right on the line. She's going to have about a 30-foot putt for the win. Okay, here we go. The putt is up. Boom, it's in. Strong side with authority. What an incredible moment. Yes.
I think this golfing can improve our community in many ways. It brings people together.
That maybe some of these kids who feel a little bit lost could find something like disc golf, find friends, find people to come together and play the sport.
Encouraging people to work together, kids to know one another, love one another.
A way for these kids to have a really fun thing to do together.
I think that's what we need in the world, love one another and do life together.
So the Supreme line is going to be the next generation of plastic that's going to allow players to take their game to the next level.
Yeah, the first 4 discs that are going to be released in the Supreme Series are going to be our first 4 original molds: the Judge, the Trespass, the Fugitive, and the Escape. All of the Supreme Series molds, they're actually brand new PDGA approved molds that are designed for the specifics that we believe our players are asking for today.
The Vulture made it into my bag about 2 years ago, and I really enjoy having a big stack of the stock plastic. I can grab 10 of them, they all fly the same for me. I can trust it at a high speed, and it still has that nice finish at the end.
Welcome back. We saw Paige Shue actually was out of bounds with her approach shot. She would go on to make bogey. Kristen Tatar won behind Ella Hansen, the world champion. Struggled yesterday. She ultimately had 2 double bogeys. Correction, she had 2 triple bogeys. Fought all the way back to even par, and she's tracking down that woman, Ella Hansen, who's trying to collect her first ever Elite Series win here on the Disc Golf Pro Tour.
The 2023 Prodigy presents Waco. First up on the box for your 10:20 tee time from Seattle, Washington, Ella Hansen. For your lead card from Estonia, Kristen Tatar. Third in the order, from Los Angeles, California, Ohn Scoggins. North Carolina, Deanne Perry.
Yesterday, we saw Kristen Tatar go over the out-of-bounds barrier on the back of hole number 1. Today, still coming in hot, and it hits off the barrier and stays in bounds.
And it's those moments like that. Very similar shot to yesterday, but to get a little bit lucky with the help of the height of that wall to keep her in bounds, it changes the momentum that she's going to start her round with. I was a little worried about that. That's exactly what a tailwind will do. You hope that it's going to continue to fly, but the tailwind can just drop your disc unexpectedly. Exactly. It happens to everyone, even the most experienced players. Just getting through hole 1, whether you're there for the birdie or you can just walk away with a solid par, then you feel a little bit more comfortable going into hole 2.
Kristen's jumper from circle 2 just low.
Talking about the disc dropping. Deanne has to put a lot of height underneath this putt to make sure it has the distance to reach the pin. She had all the power to get there, but now it's a headwind putt coming back.
Kristen is in for the par, which is still a one-stroke improvement from her start yesterday. Solid comeback putt for Deanne Carey, getting out of there with a bogey 4. And Ella Hansen looking to improve on what she did from yesterday's round by 2 strokes. Hansen for birdie.
Ella is going to need to make every putt today. If there's a chance that she can gain a stroke on the field, she needs to take advantage of those opportunities. Because there's players like Ohn Scoggins who might be out of it, might be the dark horse, but she's always going to be right there if any of the players in the lead want to give it up.
Paige Shue on the green of hole number 3, just at circle's edge. Low for Shue. And as the card counts up their scores and gets ready for the tee of 2, Brian, immediately we're noticing some improvements by our top 2 players. Anything in the strategy that you picked up on that from hole number 1?
Down the first few holes. Say that.
I have an increase of not only spectators, but also I believe some of those power lines might come into play. We'll check in with Brian in a little bit. Ella Hansen, tee of 2. And you said it earlier, Val, you put this out there pretty much anywhere, and you should have a look to get up and down for birdie. And even after that long carry and then the tree hit, Ella Hansen is going to be perfectly fine, still able to attack for birdie. Ohn going to push up the right side of the fairway. Kristen does connect with one of the trees, left side of fairway. We'll have to see if that tree remains in her way when she's trying to throw her second shot.
Beautiful throw. Keeps it nice and flat to get extra distance. Those nerves are slowly drifting away.
Now Paige Shue on the tee of hole number 4. First one moving into the woods. And around the corner for Shue, we take a look at our birdie zone. And if you'd like to go out and not only support Birdie, but also pick up your own version of Birdie Pro, you can do so by finding them on Kickstarter. As we take a look at the representation of where all of our 4 competitors landed, you see Kristen Tatar on that high left side. Looks like she might be first to act, and Ohn Scoggins on the bottom right. All of them still well within the birdie zone. This could be trouble if this flexes out. That's exactly what's happened. So Kristen out of bounds on the right side.
And that looked like early release out of her hand. She just didn't have the follow through. And that follow through would have allowed her to get the disc on that appropriate angle, turning it over more. Instead, it came out a little bit more flat and hyzered out toward the out of bounds. And it is a lengthy putt if she's going to try to run it from there.
And not only lengthy, I was just thinking, depending on the spot in which they give her, that small tree could be a factor as well. So Kristen going to have some work to do with any chance to save the par here.
She had a great drive. This is what Paige has on her second shot. Keeping it down the middle. Yeah, we talk a lot about how Kristen Tatar can just get so locked in and leave no room for competitors to get even close. This weekend, there's been plenty of opportunities, but who wants to capitalize? Who wants to take her up on that offer?
Great forehand from Deanne Carey. And just 154 feet to the pin for Ella Hansen. And believe it or not, that's not just me doing some more math out there, Val. We got to thank our friends over at Bushnell who've been helping us dial it in every single weekend. So crucial, helping not only the broadcast, but you saw Kristen also using her Bushnell just to try to get it all locked in. So Deanne Carey also was at 171 feet, just behind where Ella was. So thank you to Bushnell. And this is exactly what I was worried about, is this tree still in play for Kristen's putt to this elevated basket. Left to right wind. She had to be thinking about that tree, right, Val, or no?
Yeah, I think so, especially because it was the tailwind putt. She needs the height, especially on the elevated basket. She needed to throw it exactly where those branches were.
Ohn for her second birdie of the round. And the pause pays off for Ohn Scoggins. Rarely do you see her take an extra moment. She just gets up and fires. But this time it pays off as we roll the Zuka replay. Scoggins back-to-back birdies on 1 and 2.
And the balance that she had, bouncing on the 1 foot, but then her back foot landed behind her lie. So no foot fault there.
Center chains for Kristen's comeback putt. So just like that, Kristen losing ground to both Ohn and Ella in the first 2 holes. Deanne Carey now for birdie. She's back to even par on the round. Ella Hansen comes out firing, getting birdies on both 1 and 2, and now has a 4-stroke advantage over Kristen Tatar and 2 over Ohn Scoggins. Shue's third. And she would go in to tap that in for par. So she remains at even on the round and 7 under overall, along with Anniken Sten.
Hole number 3 sets up well for another birdie, 320 feet. Nicely done for Ella. She keeps it level with the basket. The basket's perched up on a little bit of a knoll. So if you're left or right, you'll have elevation to deal with on your putt.
And Ohn trying to really push that turnover out of her hand, but comes out low. Anytime Ohn makes a mistake off the tee, that's essentially exactly what it is. She just comes down and has too low of a release, not giving it enough air to get the full flexing shot she's looking for.
Wow. That was a crush from Deanne, almost going out of bounds long.
This gets a skip. No, it hits a tree and keeps her in circle 2. So it feels like nothing so far is going right for Kristen.
Well, 5 heads uphill. So not only do you need accuracy to shoot down the tunnel, but you need the height. And this doesn't flip, but finds its way to the top of the hill. She'll be putting for birdie.
And as I was just mentioning, it feels like not much is going right for Kristen. Brian, any chance that she was able to even retrieve the disc that she threw? I feel like it was too far out in the river. Is that true?
You're telling me there's not a big enough Kristen Tatar fan that's going to jump in that water?
I mean, I'm not going to call out
Maybe
her.
Brian's in the water. That's why we can't hear him.
I'm not going to call out her caddy, Seth Fenley, but I feel like if you're going to jump on the bag for Kristen Tatar, you're also going to jump in that river and retrieve that disc. So, Seth, get out there. Kristen doing her best to laugh it off, but certainly there's a little frustration buried within that laugh. She's got to be thinking at this point, what in the world is going on here today? Can I just catch a break?
And we're on the open holes. We're on some of the holes that are more forgiving. I mean, we're about to head into the woods, so she needs a little luck on her side if she wants to catch up.
I don't think I've ever seen Kristen Tatar like truly mad, and I don't want to. So let's see if she can maybe catch a break here or there. But Ella Hansen isn't concerned about Kristen's fortunate or misfortunate givings here. She looking to cash in for her third birdie in a row. And she does so. Ella Hansen on fire to start out Championship Sunday.
Ella is in the driver's seat. She's not looking in the rearview mirror, and she shouldn't be at this point. She needs to just put her foot on the gas and keep going. And if she could stay in her own world, I think she could really pull this off.
Another stroke to our leader in Ella Hansen. Hole 4 is going to be coming right up on the other side of this commercial break. We'll be right back.
You know, a lot of people say that Ed was the father of disc golf. Well, that's true. He did invent the basket. But Ed did another wonderful thing, probably his major accomplishment, was being the first person to realize that we had a sport on our hands, not just a toy.
In 1976, Steady Ed Hedrick founded the Professional Disc Golf Association with a dream of turning a flying plastic toy into a global sport. Since then, the PDGA, members, players, event directors, and volunteers have worked to realize that dream. From the very first baskets to courses around the world. And yet, it's only the beginning. We're looking to the horizon with even bigger dreams for tomorrow.
Hi, I'm Innova Team Captain Nate Sexton. Welcome to our instructional disc golf series. Maybe even bank over to the right, and that's going to give the putt loft. Slight flex line, so you'll see this come out a little bit higher to give you a variety of different shot shapes. The farthest away player should go first towards the basket.
Rejoining Paige Shue on the green of 5. And that is her birdie on 5. Paige Shue making a move here today. Now into a tie for third. What looks to be Ella's best drive of the weekend on 4. She saved it for Championship Sunday. Perfectly placed. Ohn looking for the swing. And she's going to be right there near Ella, maybe even just past it. What a shot. Can Deanne Carey match them? More pinched off and short on that right side. Not quite what we saw from Ohn. This looks good as well.
Wow. Those are 4 incredible drives to have on hole 4.
Ella Hansen on a tear here in the first 3 holes. Started off on hole number 1 going up and over.
I mean, we didn't even talk about this drive, but that was insane. Things that only Ella Hansen could do.
She stuck the landing, made the putt on the opening hole. A great approach here on hole number 2. That would go on to be a tap-in birdie. And then making the putt as well in circle 1 on hole 3. Doing everything right here today, and then throwing a great drive on 4. Ella Hansen currently the 3-stroke lead over Ohn Scoggins and the rest of the field. If she's got any nerve, she's hiding them very well or using them to her advantage. Not enough turn for Deanne Carey. We have her Bushnelled at 171 feet from the pin.
The tee shot starts off with a blind hyzer around the corner. And then the second shot is a blind hyzer sidearm around the right corner.
Well, she mixed up some birdie juice this morning. It seems to be paying off. 3 for 3 to get started. And right now, Kristen's going to need to get something started of her own. She is 5 back of our leader. This looks great. Hits the tree, and this time a favorable kick.
There we go. Luck has changed on her side this time. Landing short of the pin is a good idea. Could skip the dirt, skip up near the basket, but anything hitting at the basket or beyond is likely to skip long, and then there's potential to go OB in the river. It can happen very quickly. So Ohn in the best position of our group. She can see the basket from where she is, but she needs to control the speed of which that disc comes in. Big skip. And she's in the rough. I don't believe it fought hard enough to go into the river, but I don't think it's going to be a clean putt to the basket.
Now Paige Shue on the tee of hole number 6. Just trying to ride this line in this hillside down to the pin.
That looked so good, but just a little short.
She'll be inside the circle for her look. And earlier we were talking about looking for the disc, and Brian had some insight out there. If you got a moment, Brian, what are you thinking about not only Kristen's lost disc, but some of the breaks she's received out here?
I was out.
Unfortunately, it sounds like Brian's having the same luck that Kristen's had here in the first few holes.
Ohn has found her disc and just wrestling with the branches. Oh, and if she could reach that right foot behind her lie, this might give her. And also clarifying if she's outside the circle and able to follow through. That can be helpful, especially when your legs are out of play. She can't use any of her leg power to get what she needs to go to the basket.
There's exactly 30 feet left here for Ella Hansen for her birdie look. Ella Hansen for her 4th birdie in a row, looking unstoppable here in the 3rd and final round.
She looks so confident in her putting stroke today. That is going to make all the difference.
Kristen puts her first birdie of the round on her scorecard, but at this point she's going to need a lot more if she wants any chance to catch Ella.
Where'd you go?
No problems for Scoggins. She'll remain at 10 under. You saw the drive by Shue. Here's the birdie attempt just inside the circle. Ella Hansen not giving anyone a chance here today. She currently 4-stroke lead over Ohn Scoggins, 5 over Kristen, 6 over both Deanne Carey and Paige Shue.
Ella Hansen is playing perfect so far, being able to birdie the first 4 holes, first 3 out in the open, but to get hole number 4 as we head into the woods shows that she's locked in, has that kind of wooded mind frame going on, and just keep it going. That's all I could say. Love to see the confidence that she has today.
Hansen on the tee of 5.
Keeps it low. It's right on line. Does not have enough energy to climb to the top of the hill.
And we've talked about how much I love that strategy. You're essentially trying to throw right into the hillside with something flat, and then it usually will skip up and carry toward the pin. Where Kristen here, not messing as much with that straight on hillside, but she pulls it over to the right. She'll have a look from closer range for her birdie. This heading in the same direction of Kristen's, but not quite as close. And a very favorable kick as we hear Deanne saying thank you. And she had pulled that one hard right, but kicks off to the left edge of the fairway. That should still give her a chance to get up and down and save par. Now we're on the tee of 7 with Paige Shue.
First part of this hole is getting through the tunnel and into a good placement shot out in the open. This needs to hyzer some more.
And in just looking at hole number 7's tee shot there, it feels very similar actually to hole 4. They look very different, but you're essentially throwing the exact same shot. You want something that goes straight for a few hundred feet and then just falls out to the left side, hyzers out or drifts out left.
So So what you're saying is these holes in the woods are starting to look the same?
Well, Deanne Carey, as I said, blessed to be where she is after she had pulled the drive, and now she pulls the approach. So something off with Deanne's release point here. Ohn does have a look at the basket. And on the far right side of our graphic, you're seeing the win probability thanks to our friends over at UDisc. We talked about that a little bit yesterday in the 20,000 iterations that they're running every 30 seconds, the simulations to get us to those win probabilities. Ella Hansen now listed with 54% win probability. Kristin at 29. Yesterday during her round, we saw her come into it with an 89% chance or win probability. Ella Hansen trying to certainly flip the script. Hansen for her 5th birdie in a row. Val, easy to be short on an uphill putt, straddling. You just need to generate more power, don't you?
You sure do, and she had a straddle putt going there, and so maybe a little bit lower of a crouch to build up that momentum would have helped.
So for the first time today, Kristin can pick up a stroke on our leader in Ella Hansen. She's going to need this birdie.
And that's a signature putting style from Kristen Tatar. She just knows the type of power you need from the straddle putt. When you're a player that typically goes in that track stance, it's tough to convert the energy and switch up your putting style.
So Deanne is in for bogey. She's going to fall off the pace by giving up another stroke. Meanwhile, Ohn will tap in, and Ella Hansen isn't able to birdie, and Kristin says, this is one of my chances, and steps up, and we see the patented stance, as you called it. Kristen Tatar could reach out to our friends at Sunstein. They can help you out with litigation, patents, trademarks, or any other corporate legal services. That's our friends over at Sunstein Law. You can find them at sunsteinlaw.com. They'll get scores before they tee off on 6, and now we have Paige with her approach shot on 7. This could be a birdie all day. And that's exactly what you need. And yes, of course, Paige would go on to birdie from there, and now she's pulled into a solo 4th place position. She's at 9 under.
This is where the trouble started for Kristen Tatar yesterday, but she gets a very beautiful drive, similar to what she did in round 1, but you could see her celebrating. This was the first of 2 triple bogeys she took in yesterday's round.
200% redemption for Kristen Tatar. She is just a few feet from the pin, and she will have a 4-stroke improvement from yesterday.
Was that from Statmando? 200% improvement?
No, I made that one up on my own, Val.
I think it's even higher than that.
It probably is. And Ella Hansen isn't clean with her tee shot, so we're certainly going to see a chance for some scoring swing here between Ella and Kristen. Great looking shot. And we'll find Deanne Carey inside the bullseye. And we're going to roll the Zuka replay.
And it's just too soon for Kristen to have put those thoughts about what happened yesterday out of her mind. So I give her huge props to focus in and get that redemption with a beautiful drive. Pops it right on line, rides the fairway perfectly, skips up short, and yeah, big sigh of relief, I'm sure. I feel like everybody knows. Everybody's going, all right, good for you, Kristen.
Yeah, the sense of relief and vindication. And not only did she throw a good shot, it is parked. It is a perfect shot. And Ella Hansen will lose a stroke to Kristen here on hole number 6. Paige also continues to lurk. She's at 9 under. Not a great release, but she gets a favorable kick for as much as her release was off. Ohn gives it a solid bid from circle 2. Ohn has gone flat since hole number 2. She picked up birdies on the first 2 holes and looks like she'll have now 4 pars in a row.
The grass is it's right there.
There you go.
Never mind. Thanks, guys.
Scoggins with the par.
Deanne with the birdie. The way she can work that backhand turnover shot. She has it locked in on hole 6.
Again, a 4-stroke improvement. That's something you love to hear, but all things considered, she'll take it. And we're going to head into hole number 7. What do they need to do here, Val?
Hole 7th is about middle of the pack in difficulty, but you need to have a great tee shot to give you the chance at a birdie. If you can get all the way through these trees and out into the open, you should have a look at the pin from here. How you line yourself up with this second shot can be crucial of how comfortable you are with this shot. You shoot over this ditch. You have to control the speed as you're getting closer to the basket. You want to make sure you have enough to get up to the top of the hill, but not too far where you're blowing past and having to shoot back downhill at the basket.
We're going to have a little Holly Finley check in, and she is getting it done out there. 5 birdies in a row as she's heading to 13, and before that she had a 3-pack, so 8 out of the last 9 for Holly Finley, having a great round out here today.
And kind of the spoiler is she didn't get hole 7. We'll see if our lead card makes a difference.
We'll push out into the opening here for Kristen. Deanne catches the last tree. That prevents her from finding the wide open space that she's looking for. Also bringing in perspective, Holly Finley with the score she's shooting right now is currently up 19 spots into a tie for 13th. Here's Ella Hansen.
That should be ideal for Ella. Oh, it's got to work. No, it gets hung up on the right-hand side. We still might have a chance to see the pin from there.
Paige forced to lay up on hole number 8 after we saw the tee shot, but that'll be a tap-in par. She's sitting in solo 4th, but right now, these are the hottest rounds that we're seeing out there on the course. We just mentioned Holly Finley's 7 under. Madison Walker was also off to a great start. Hannah Wynn sitting at 5 under for today's round. Of course, Ella Hansen, who opened 4 for 4. Cynthia Ricciardi also was off to a great start. I believe she opened with 3 consecutive birdies. Jessica Weiss, Holland Hanley, all trying to make some moves out there today. Currently, Cynthia, we're seeing moving to that tie for 15th, trying to find herself inside the cash line.
And 3 of our 4 lead card players have made the hot round list. It's a good sign. Deanne Carey currently sits at even par.
We have a 52-woman field with 26 of them getting paid out.
I didn't see that roll to the bottom of the ditch, so she might have stuck on one of the steps. Again, that beautiful turnover that she does so well. Opportunity for birdie.
Kristen's forehand comes tracking in at the basket. It hits. It does get a skip. Often in the last 2 rounds, we've seen discs that come in have somehow checked up right on that spot. Today, maybe things have dried out a little bit more, so she did get the skip in the carry. Ohn will be on the short side of the hill. So should be relatively level. However, the footing will be awkward. She's second guessing, wondering if she should have went about it a different way.
Mm. 172 feet. She's level with the basket. We'll see how restricted that putt is. I feel like your priorities really change on this hole, determined by how far your drive gets. When you're farther back, you're more focused on just hitting the gap and making sure you have enough power to get to the basket. Whereas Ella, a shorter approach, but more focus on that accuracy, and wasn't the most accurate shot for her.
This is Lisa Fakis. She has a birdie look on 8. And no problems for Lisa. Again, a very clean scorecard. I think back, I feel like I've said that a couple of times about her rounds out here over the last 2 days. Just going to need to pick up the birdie count, though. Here's Ohn Scoggins. Awkward footing. Quite enough power, but she'll be next to the basket. That'll be a tap-in par for Ohn. She's going to keep the par streak rolling. Deanne from Circle's Edge for birdie.
When you're so focused on hitting the putt or going for the big putt like that, you're not aware of what's right in front of you sometimes.
Kristen for birdie. And she converts. Kristen Tatar will put her 4th birdie in a row on her scorecard. With that, she'll momentarily pull within 2 of Ella. We'll see how Ella can answer. And Ella, no problem. She's got a little window. She converts. And she'll move to 15 under and a 3-stroke lead over Kristen. And after a very slow start, maybe even some unfortunate breaks, Kristen has now bounced back as we headed into the woods on hole number 4. A solid approach shot, which set her up for birdie. Then on hole 5, she converts on the uphill putt. Comes back to where she struggled mightily yesterday and gets the redemption, turning her triple bogey 6 yesterday into a birdie 2 with a drop in. And here on hole number 7, converts for her 4th birdie in a row. Kristen 3 back of Ella Hansen.
And even with the rough round that she had yesterday, she was still able to collect the birdies. She had 7 birdies on her scorecard to combat the 7 over par strokes that she had. So she still played very well regardless of struggles. And so that's something you can use to your advantage out here in the woods.
And she peers the gap on 8, but it does push down into the right side. If that tree caught her up, she may still have a look for birdie. Similar line here for Ella, but it catches one of the final trees. Ohn has been slightly stagnant for the last few holes, and this might be exactly what she needs to get back on track. She's had 5 pars in a row. That should be a birdie for Scoggins. That would bring her to 3 under for the round. And Deanne hits the line as well and able to get it to check up, so she's going to have a birdie look. So incredible what we've been seeing. I've just said it, Kristen off to a little bit of a slow start, but now it feels like she's found her groove. Things look very comfortable for her, and there's absolutely should be no comfort whatsoever for Ella. She needs to keep her foot on the gas, as you said.
Yeah, exactly. I think if Ella can continue being in her own world, not let the pressure get to her, she's going to be fine, but it's going to be a very tall task. She knows the experience that Kristen Tatar has when it comes down to the stretch and when it comes to winning huge disc golf events. So this is something that Ella needs to take as experience, maybe learn from those maybe failures in the past. She's been right there in the hunt. We covered it at the top of the show, but she's just fallen just short. Can she use those past experiences and those past heartbreaks to kind of punch through and get over those nerves?
She is currently 5 under through 7. She'll ultimately be 5 under through 8 holes. So she will have the lead still by the end of hole number 8 here, but there, like I said, there's just no letting off whatsoever. And Kristen was in fact stopped by the bush that is just bottom right of the basket. So this looks like a very legitimate birdie opportunity, and Tattar strikes. She now has 5 in a row, and she's going to pull within 2 of Ella Hansen. Deanne Carey will now move to 1 under par for the round. That's going to bring her into a tie for 4th with Paige Shue. The tap-in birdie for Ohn. And your leader, Ella Hansen, trying to hold off a charging Kristen Tatar. All of that and more on the other side of this commercial break. We'll be right back.
Go long. Whoa.
Hey, over here.
Hello, we're Kenna. We're a Dutch growing company. We love plants and we want to tell you some cool things about them. Just like humans, plants can communicate. They can sense when another plant is close. Plants look out for each other too. They warn neighbors about nearby threats by secreting substances. And studies have shown that plants love a good tune. We love and understand plants. Let our passion excite you too.
What makes the Halal Guys so deliciously different? You might have heard of our famously long cart lines that NYC fans happily stand in. Today, with over 100 plus restaurants across the globe, we are your place to experience authentic American halal. Enjoy our delicious falafel, Euro sandwich, platters, and sides topped with our famously flavorful white and hot sauces. Order online today and taste how we make different so delicious. The Halal Guys, bringing something deliciously different to the table.
Disc Golf Pro Tour All-Star Ace. Incredible shot there by Sarah Holcomb.
Disc golf education is important because it prolongs the length of our sport and the popularity of our sport, and the most receiving of disc golf is children. So if we get that introduced to them young, they might grow up to be the next Paul McBeth or the next Paige Pierce, and we don't know it.
Air Spectrum is Prodigy's new line of premium lightweight discs in the mid-range, fairway, and distance driver models. You can now get beautiful bursts of color no matter your preferred weight. Bag one today at ProdigyDisc.com.
Latitude 64's boys down here just finished checking out the telemetry you have, and everything is A-OK.
Hey, Jonathan, catch. Huh?
Jonathan, we're getting an anomalous critical failure on your suit. Could you please confirm status?
Sorry, man.
Are you sick and tired of browsing through countless online stores for your disc golf equipment only to come up empty-handed? Look no farther. At Tintin Discs, we have a vast selection with pictures of each disc so you can find the exact one you need. We offer a wide variety of top-quality brands at affordable prices, including discs, bags, accessories, and much more.
It's always so exciting when we get new plastics of the Passion, but I always end up falling back on the stock ones. And I like to say its closest counterpart is the Buzz. I think my absolute favorite way to throw it is dead straight and just watch the beauty of a straight flight. They've become a staple in the Discraft lineup and also in people's bags, and to know that people everywhere are enjoying the Passion as much as I am. That's just really exciting for me.
And welcome back as we were watching Paige Shue throw her second shot. There's always a significant backup here on the tee of hole number 9. So the chase card had just teed off a little bit ago, and might be a while before our lead card is ready to go. And that's clearly all part of the game as well, Val. You typically know of these backup spots, and then how you mentally and physically stand down. That's something you have to combat while you're out there, and we're going to see Haley King with her second. And someone who's been running around catching the action all day, Brian Earhart, out on the ground. Brian, what are you thinking here on 9? What are some of the pro tips that you might have found success with in terms of how you deal with backups?
I mean, just stay present, stay in nice conversation. It's just really staying true to who you are and how you like to pass time without letting those intrusive thoughts come in. So really, I think the players right now are in good spirits. They're all interacting with one another, and I think this backup should be no problem for them.
Appreciate it, Brian, as we just watch Anakin throw a pretty solid approach shot from there. She should be able to pitch right up next to the pin. And if you're with Ohn, you're always in good spirits. Otherwise, there's something wrong with you.
So although hole 9 is a par 5, we've seen it score very well for our division. It's the 7th most difficult hole on the course.
Oh, I just got to the laundry mat.
2 eagles.
I don't care. But when there's no sun and I just throw in the wash, yep. Just come out like 30 minutes and kneel and dry. Yeah, I do it. Him too. Well, he's already dirty. So.
Yeah, mine, the first day I wore them, I got really dirty.
Not often do we see a Paige Shue forehand. And she's pulled that one to the left and doesn't hit the gap.
It looked as if she had plenty of space to throw a backhand shot. That was interesting.
Right, Nike, they'll actually change
I saw it in the poll.
Like if you read the tag within it, there's like an expiration, so like if you run out of it, they'll give you a brand new.
Like I was mentioning, you see big stroke swings on this hole. We've seen eagles and we've seen players get into trouble. Buzzing past the basket there. About 30% players below par, par, and over par. So it's just across the board. And it really comes down to drive and keeping it in the fairway. And a couple feet long from hitting the basket.
Yeah, we'll see how obstructed she'll be on the green with her comeback putt. Now, Anakin, not often do we see a lefty patent pending stance. This looks perfect, maybe just a little long as well. I guess coming in with the same amount of heat as we just saw from Haley. So Lisa will have an uphill putt, trying to close out on hole number 9. And speaking of people from Texas, we're going to be in Austin, Texas, of course, the Open in Austin. You can head over to dgpt.com/tickets if you want to be there in person, or if that's too far for you, make sure you join us right here on the Disc Golf Network, March 17th through the 19th for our next DGPT Elite Series event. Paige going back to the forehand, and the little flick should put her right next to the pin. And that green flag to our lead card indicates they are ready to go. They can tee off here on hole number 9, almost halfway through the round. And I don't know if we could ask for much more excitement thus far, Val. Kristen's struggles continue on 9. This hole has tripped her up each of the first 2 rounds. Looks like she's going to have some work to do there.
What you're looking for is a nice straight shot that continues forward and down to the bottom of that hill. And the rough is rough, and Kristen knows from experience. Let's see if she just has a pitch out or if she has a look to continue some distance.
Not entirely clear, but low and somewhere near the fairway, which Kristen would do anything for at the moment.
That looks great, Ella.
Ella Hansen lacing it.
Throwing 100% with a slow speed disc. That's how you maintain that accuracy down the fairway. That's how you keep it straight.
Anakin will convert on the birdie attempt. So that will double her birdie count today. Now Fakis. This is also a birdie putt. just off the chain. Anakin with that birdie gets her to 8 under par. We see both Deanne Carey and Paige both sitting at 9. Ohn Scoggins and Kristen Tatar trying to do anything they can to catch up to our leader in Ella Hansen.
Still another couple 100 feet to get to the corner where the fairway bends to the right. That was amazing.
Incredible recovery shot. She couldn't have thrown a better shot from where she was, Val.
No, that is an ideal position to be in. That's where you want to be on your drive, but if you're out of position like this, hey, look how stretched out she is. Look how much height she's putting underneath this disc. And for it to hold the line, fly through the fairway, she is back in position. This is a par 5, so from there, if she can get it underneath the pin, she's looking at a birdie.
Now Deanne with her second shot.
I think she chose the tightest window of all the options that she had.
Well, she executed it beautifully, also in great position after 2 throws. After the birdie on 9, we have Anakin with her tee shot on 10. Anakin, of course, took down the PCS Sula Open, which was a Silver Series event last year in 2022 over in Norway. Right now, she's trying to claim her highest position in an Elite Series event. Ohn fighting through the rough on this left side, but she's out and should have an up and down look from there. Shue on the tee of 10. And even with that late tree kick, she should still have a look to get up and down. Didn't look too punishing for her. Ohn ready for her third shot.
She's finally around the corner. Ella tight on the right-hand side. Can she get to the pin?
I think the angle is just too tight on that right side of the fairway. She's really positioned herself almost perfectly here to get up and down for the birdie, but with being that far to the right, I think that took eagle out of play for her.
And there's no need to get greedy on this hole. A birdie is great. No need to push it and then find yourself into some deep trouble.
Not at all what we expected to see from Kristen. She had such an open lane and she just pulled it over too hard and connects with an early tree. She certainly surprised herself with that one. moments ago, Val, we were talking about her birdie chances and probabilities here. Now she's still going to have to make a solid forehand recovery shot to get up and down and save the par.
It's a roller coaster of emotions on this one single hole here for Kristen.
I feel like the emotions match the terrain on this hole. Just up and down and all over. And that is a solid approach. So she should be able to get out of here with a par. That may lose a stroke, though, to our leader in Hansen. Now Shue with her second on 10. That looks high. Oh, but she'll take the tree kick, and Paige Shue trying to line up a birdie on the 10th. Dion stopped by one of the guardian trees up near the green.
It is those guardian trees that make this approach so difficult. You see Ella going on that left-hand side to get around them. If you hit them, you're around circle's edge. Going around them, you might get that skip and go long, but Ohn checks up really nicely.
Yeah, having that perfect touch coming into this green is so difficult. We saw what Haley had done, for instance, in going deep, and that's exactly what we saw from Hansen. Here's Annika Sten. And that might be circle's edge, but it's going to be obstructed for her look on 10.
Now this is a fun putt. Look at the shape of the tree.
It's like it's just getting out of the way just right for her.
Tree got me.
How can Ella get comfortable behind this putt? Another chance for a little more cushion above Kristen.
She also has to maintain her balance. She looks to be inside the circle.
It's just that awkward
Half
low knee bend.
Yeah, almost like a half crouch.
Yeah, not able to pop up and have that full extension. It's frustrating when you're that close to the basket.
Kristen straddles out to the left of the tree. And her putting continues to be on point. She's going to end her birdie streak of 5 in a row, but she'll take the par here on hole number 9.
Be careful. From rainy, that's why.
And we are halfway through our final round here on Championship Sunday. We're going to take a look at hole number 10. Some would refer to this as the signature hole out here, Val.
Well, I think playing in the very technical woods, players are excited to play hole 10 because it opens up. There is more space to work with on their tee shot. As you mentioned, as long as you can just get it out there pretty far on your drive, try and avoid the trees or maybe kicking off the fairway. If you have your drive right in the middle, you can attack the pin for the birdie. But we see it, not a lot of players are able to judge the distance perfectly. There's a slope off to the left, so if you hit that dirt patch, you could go about 20 feet long. that's where we find Anakin.
And Shue is in for birdie. Currently sitting in 4th place by herself. 10 under. Here's Kristin. Does it continue to hold before slightly fading left? She gets a tree kick, and that's going to be right center side of fairway. Ohn's husband, Justin, on the bag. Gotta like that, Val.
She picked the most wide open fairway on that right-hand side, avoided all the trees. And a chance to unleash the distance for Ella. She leaves a little high, gets hung up short.
This is heading left for Shue. Oh, but gets a favorable kick back out into the fairway. Disappointed it's not a birdie look, but she should be able to at least get up and down and save par from there. That could have been disastrous.
There's much more space on the right-hand side. She skips it right up, just around bullseye.
Kristin with a 2-stroke deficit right now. She's sitting at 13 under. That's 4 under for the round. Brian, we're at the halfway point. I don't feel like this can get much more intense. The battle seems to be between Kristin and Ella. Any thoughts halfway through?
You know, it looks like Ella's really holding on. She's throwing a lot of good shots, just a couple of little missed putts here and there. And that's to be expected to be in the position that she's in right now with all these good players chasing her. And Kristin looks solid too, just a couple early releases. Still not necessarily on point like we've been used to seeing her. But I think because of that, but because of both these players kind of making a couple mistakes here and there, should be a really exciting finish.
Is exactly what we have dialed up here for Championship Sunday. Ella Hansen, the 2-stroke advantage over Kristin. Now Haley King. This is her tee shot on 11. And if this drifts at all from left to right, what a beautiful shot. It checks up. Haley King will have a birdie look on 11. Scoggins, the standstill approach on 10. Favorable tree. Could be another opportunity for Kristin to gain a stroke. Ella has a best. Can Kristin put it close? Yes. That will be a tap-in birdie for Kristin.
And being that close to the basket, I mean, most putts for Kristin are automatic, but being that close to the basket, that puts the pressure on Ella to make this putt. Can she bounce back? Or will the pressure of Kristin lurking creep up to her?
Deanne Carey has 164 feet to the pin. And that's tracking and going deep, but it does stay up on the upper platform. She's inside the circle. She'll have an obstructed putt.
So equidistant. Like
Paige get up and down. And yesterday it was on an approach that we saw on that very hole where Paige connected with the tree and ultimately turned herself into a bogey. Kristen trying to cut the deficit to 1. Ohn has a look, but catches some cabbage on the way out. And we take another look here. Updated win probabilities coming to us from UDisc. Kristen Tatar now listed at 53%. Hansen at 41%. Those are win probabilities calculated by UDisc every 30 seconds. Hansen circles edge for birdie. Dead center. No doubt at all. What a confident putting stroke by Hansen. And just when we thought Kristen might be able to cut the deficit down, she's going to remain 2 behind Ella.
It's moments like that that are big wins for young competitors. It's the moment you take that deep breath. You know that you're nervous. You know you need to make the putt. And then you do. You step up to the pressure. That was so huge from Ella.
And that didn't trickle in. That didn't just barely catch left side or fall in. That was confident. In fact, almost a little too firm on the high side. Dead center chain for Ella. That is a statement putt for sure.
I got chills. Those are those exciting moments that I just love to see. A hurdle that a young player can overcome. But that's what it's going to take if she's going to fend off Kristen Tatar.
And we certainly know all of Estonia out there cheering and rooting on Kristen. But right now, Ella Hansen says, I've got this under control. Ella Hansen, maybe take some of those winnings and go pick up some halal guys doing work out here in Texas.
And my favorite part are the tiny fist pumps for her to show us that, yes, I did it. Heck yeah.
Yes, I'm getting 2 euros this afternoon. That's what I'm thinking.
You deserve it, dude.
Anakin, we saw the drive. Birdie opportunity, and she converts.
Slow and steady. Just keeping it nice and clean. Getting the birdies when she can.
And that was a few moments ago, but our lead card now has moved over to the tee of 11. Kristen and Ella matching birdies on 10. Crawl up the hillside. That tree will come into play. She'll likely have a straddle putt. We'll see just how much it's in her line. Ella also opting for a forehand. Even better line for Ella. Just not enough power.
And then at that distance, it's questionable if the player will go for a putt like that. Just the way that this basket is placed, it is so particular on that side hill. I see so many rollaways.
Deanne's accepting of that. She says it's okay. She'll have a putt from the bottom of the hill. Deanne sitting 1 under for today's round. Ohn Scoggins, bogey-free 3 under thus far. And we'll see if Ohn can add to her birdie count. Ohn, very similar to what we're seeing from Anakin, just slow and steady, not making any major mistakes. Each of them have 3 birdies on their card and no bogeys whatsoever. It's just a matter of that doesn't appear to be enough here on Sunday as they're trying to chase down both Kristin along with Ella.
Yeah, and they're racking up birdies, and it's fun to see the 2 players at the top playing well, and that's the best kind of competition that you want to see, especially on Championship Sunday. Can Kristen Tatar get her first win in Texas? And can Ella Hansen break through and get her first big win here in the sport of disc golf?
Yeah, it's been so incredible to see both of them have 6 birdies. And we see that, of course, Kristin opened with the bogey, but 6 birdies for each of them through 10 holes. And you're watching it all live right here on the Disc Golf Network. Can't see this action anywhere else in live real time. So make sure you become a subscriber. Head over to discgolfnetwork.com. If you're watching right now, we know you're a subscriber, but you got to go out there and tell your friends, because I don't know where else you'd rather be on a Sunday than watching the championship day here at the Waco Annual Charity Open, along with more than 25 other live events that will be broadcast on the network this year. And Deanne, no shortage of power going after that birdie attempt.
Kristin a few steps outside the circle with that treacherous green. I wouldn't go for it, but I'm not Kristin Tatar. No, that's a nice safe layup.
She will pick another battle for another hole. The question is, how does Ella answer? I know I just said statement putt on 10, but if Ella converts, she'd extend her lead to 3. Certainly aware of the risk. She goes after it. That could have been absolutely disastrous. That catches an edge, rolls into the woods. It could have been so much worse. Now she's still left with a wide open comeback putt, but not exactly a tap-in like Kristin has. And your confidence is that high. That's exactly what you can do. And Ella Hansen, anytime she has a miss, short and left, and that one just barely slid out on her. An inch or two higher, and that would have been in. Deanne with the comeback putt for par. Oh, and that one teeters for a moment, but then slides back in.
No pressure, par drop in from Kristin Tatar. Ella was trying to make it interesting in a moment where she wanted to get that birdie. She wanted to take advantage of that scoring opportunity. It's a risky green to do that on. So to see her step up, make that putt, very solid.
Well, we have a backup on hole number 12, so we're going to stand down for just a few moments. You're not going to miss any action. We've got more of it on the other side of this break. We'll be right back.
This year, Prodigy is celebrating its 10th year as a disc golf disc manufacturer. In the beginning of this journey, we found out that making discs isn't so easy. It wasn't too long in the process that something just clicked. To celebrate Prodigy's 10-year anniversary, we wanted to bring an old plastic back that you can find in some older runs of M4s, but it is not a plastic from Prodigy's current selection. You will see this logo more on our 10-year anniversary special releases.
It has a turn for those guys that don't have a lot of power. It's fast and it's got good glide.
Whether you're out playing a tournament or just hanging out with friends, don't let your grip cost you strokes out on the disc golf course.
Aaron, try this.
When you have a better grip on your discs, you have the confidence to perform your best with each throw and every putt. Whale sacks are whale-shaped grip bags designed to dry your hands so you can trust that you have the best grip on your disc. Get a whale sack, because better grip means better confidence.
I just think the plastic is very premium. It's a high quality material. The way the disc feels in my hand.
I think it's the quality of plastic.
It's unlike any other plastic that you'll find in the industry.
The quality is better than any other company out there.
Again, just consistent plastic. It's something I can consistently trust on every single throw.
There's so many discs to choose from, and I guarantee if you tried every disc in the lineup, you're gonna wanna put multiple discs in your bag.
It's extremely high quality. You can only say so much, they have to eventually just try it themselves and see.
Air Spectrum is Prodigy's new line of premium lightweight discs in the mid-range, fairway, and disc driver models. You can now get beautiful bursts of color no matter your preferred weight. Bag one today at prodigydisc.com.
Welcome back. Paige Shue now with another forehand lined up here on hole number 12. For where that was heading, that ended up being a favorable kick, but not the line of release she was looking for.
Actually, was almost saying, nope, try again.
Needs to fight back to the fairway, and it looks like it's caught up for Lisa Fakis.
Another lengthy break. Good time for a snack. So this is the second par 5 on this course, but playing much more difficult, in my opinion, than hole 9. We're seeing it's the 4th most difficult hole on the course. 22% of the field has been able to get the birdie, but 40% have gotten bogey or worse.
Anakin, beautiful shot that's trying to fight up the hillside. We'll see if she goes with a backhand or maybe a little forehand flick from where she's at. Next, Haley King from the left side of the fairway. Or should I say just off of the fairway.
Nice roll back into the middle. Trees are being very forgiving to this group.
Hearing and seeing some of the game plan for our lead card as they're waiting for the chase to move up the fairway.
Sorry.
Paige looking for a full flex. She's going to want this to bend from left to right, but not that early. That needed to be up in the air and more left. Because really the shot is to bend that from left to right, and as soon as it crests the hill, you want it to then start fading back toward the pin.
Play one, then it's like 2 off weekends, then another, and then rip it all the way back for the next one. Super good.
It's kind of weird. It's weird for me because I'm playing like both the Silver Beaver State and the one in Washington, and then I'm playing an 8 here in Seattle, so it's really fun. But it's like I'm moving home for a few weeks, but it's like Portland, back to Seattle, Portland, back to Seattle.
It's like not it's right next door. What's it?
It's like 3 hours.
3 hours? Yeah.
No, it's not too bad. For me, it's enough.
Relative to this stuff.
My cousins are
Talking about some upcoming plans and travels that we'll see, most of which are right here on the Disc Golf Network. Ella going to take a weekend to play in an A tier, she was just saying, in Seattle.
And in June, that's when the tour really starts to ramp up. Every weekend, a big event. That's the life of a touring disc golfer.
As you very well know, Val, and we're seeing someone who's been on tour for quite a few years. I think back to when we first saw Lisa Fakis really make a name for herself and bust onto the scene back around the Worlds of 2017, where she had a top 4 finish over there in Augusta. And it felt like this woman just simply couldn't miss a putt during that week. It was incredible to watch. I know that's when I became very familiar with Lisa. And she has been on the tour grinding for the last 6 or 7 years. And a great shot there. In fact, some people, like myself, even had to do a double take sometimes when you saw Lisa out on the course as to if that was possibly you. You guys have very similar mannerisms.
I will take that as a huge compliment, especially when she hits big putts.
Yeah, different putting style, but it felt like the results were the same. And we were just reflecting on Ella's putt and the fact that she had gone after it on hole number 11, and then what it meant for her to make that comeback putt. I'm going to throw it out to Brian in just a moment, but first we're going to see our lead card tee off. Maybe we'll get an assessment of where they land once we watch all 4 of their shots. We're seeing a green flag right now. Lead card ready to go on our par 5, hole number 12. Big moment for Tatar.
So different than hole 9, where the bend is much shorter. So it doesn't require as straight of a drive off of the tee, but they want to make sure that they're getting down to the corner and then the disc continues to work to the right.
Beautiful shot by Hansen.
Clean. She's right in the middle of the fairway.
Great touch and finesse there by Deanne Carey. Also in the fairway. Ohn will be the third to go with a forehand, and caught up by what looks like the exact same tree as we saw Kristen get caught up by. We're going to check in up near the green, or the approaches to the green. Here's Anakin. As I expected, a little forehand. But it heads directly for the tree. Shue also lining up a forehand. She doesn't love it, Val.
There's a lot of branches and twigs to fight through. But then at the same time, she has to control the power so that she doesn't go too far past. She hits the largest tree in her way.
Ohn looking on. Brian, can you give us an assessment of what we're seeing from both Ohn and Kristen as they seem out of position?
Yeah, Ohn is in an okay spot, but Kristen is just on the edge of the fairway. She's going to at least have some sort of placement stretch out sidearm.
Thank you, Brian. We're watching them wait, which is somewhat surprising. I feel like that's a conservative hold for them. We're not going to see either of the first two throwers get to the green, but better to be safe and wait so that there's no distractions up near the green during their approaches. Paige now dealing with some awkward footing. I'm going to also ask you, Brian, clearly we see that the winds are there and they'll be present when we get back into the Open on the next hole, but how about the overall sunshine, the warmth? I feel like we've experienced varying conditions throughout the last 3 days. What's it like now?
We're almost reaching room temperature, Terry. It's really nice in here in the woods in hole 12. Wind is still definitely blowing, making it a little bit chillier, but the humidity is down. Grip on the disc is a lot better. Again, Kristen said yesterday, grip on her disc because of the humidity was really tough for her. So, yeah, pretty solid conditions for disc golf today.
Appreciate it, and such a great point. As I was just thinking about the humidity and what Kristen had said as well, I think back to the 2021 Worlds. I think that was the last time we saw Kristen Tatar not finish on the podium. She finished 5th at the Worlds, and throughout that week, having conversations with her as she was trying to deal with the heat and the humidity that we were experiencing in Utah, just something she had really never had to deal with before, such extreme conditions, including the humidity. So, Kristen, better conditions for her and her grip today. And ready to rip, we've got Ohn Scoggins. Ohn may or may not have had the green flag, but Ohn operates in her own world sometimes. We'll take it. Does this catch an edge and get back? Actually, the tree is friendly, keeps her in the fairway.
In the fairway and on the good side of the mandatory. That's the risk with a sidearm shot. You have that likelihood to finish too early and the possibility to miss the mando. Every time I see Deanne Carey pull out that red disc, and I don't know if it's the same disc every time, but she finds the fairway. It's such a straight flyer, slight turn to the right, but it has been the perfect disc choice here in the woods.
Ella, who was closest to the pin with her longest drive here, now is going to go back to the bag for a moment as she's lining up the forehand. This is her second shot on the par 5. Oh, and what a mistake by Ella. Hitting left side tree, and definitely not a favorable kick for her. And she will be out of position left side of the fairway. What are we seeing here, Val?
Completely off her line immediately from the start. I was waiting to see her lined up with the middle of the fairway and then nice skip off to the right. Instead, she's going to be off the fairway on the left. Only a meter off the fairway, but the fact that she has these trees right behind her backswing, that's going to be something she's going to have to deal with. Is it going to be a backhand or a stretch out forehand?
This is going to have to be a clean shot, otherwise she could turn this from bad to worse and potentially start giving strokes back to Kristen.
Okay, she was able to get that full reach back.
Almost up onto the platform. We know in talking to Brian yesterday that that's probably in the 80 to 100 foot range. So she still has some work to do from back there. Ohn up onto the shelf, and she'll have a long look for birdie. And Val, we saw what Kristen did, how she recovered, how she came back on 6, turned that from a triple bogey into a birdie. Here is where she had her other triple bogey. Hopefully she's completely wiped that out of her mind and is thinking that she could possibly improve by 3 or 4. And what a beautiful shot. That will set her up for a birdie look. So trying to trim, again, 4 strokes off of her card in one hole compared to yesterday's round. Here's Anniken fighting the wind. And we know that that's what they'll be facing here in a few minutes when they get out to hole number 13. And we're going to thank our friends over at Flight Factory Discs, providing these beautiful overview drone shots for us all weekend long throughout our 2023 season as well on the Disc Golf Network. Make sure you check out flightfactorydisc.com.
Deanne with her third throw. She could see the basket. That will work. She's inside the circle. And Anniken almost missing that mandatory tree. Now throwing down into the lower area where we see most drives land. Almost making a run for it. Ella looking at her par putt next. Kristen's up there inside the circle for her birdie. Another tree bending out of the way for Deanne. She let the tree get into her mind before. Let's see if she can get this one. Similar distance.
Yeah, another par 5 and another putt here on the green with a tree right in her way, as you called it, Val. This one a better bid than last time back on 9. Deanne, as you see on the leaderboard there, still tied up for 4th place along with Anniken Sten. Paige Shue also part of that tie. All at 9 under. They are 2 clear of Haley King. Again, just thinking about the possibilities, Kristen Tatar has the chance to shave 8 strokes in 2 holes from yesterday's round compared to today's. Tatar for birdie.
Was right on line without that bush in her way.
Ohn doesn't make the comebacker. And in watching that putt not go in for Kristen, I was just thinking back to, is that the first time I've ever seen her putter hit the ground this weekend? Her putting has been so solid as Ella is in.
Pretty close to it.
And clearly she had the obstruction and everything else there, but I'm just thinking, you know, she struggled with these 2 particular holes yesterday, but it's never been the putter. And they're going to tap out, but we don't want you going anywhere. They're going to head over to the open holes. We'll be right back on the other side of this commercial break.
My name is Garrett Gerthy, also known as Double G, and I'm the founder of Double G Craft Jerky.
Double G Craft Jerky is an awesome snack when you have a hankering on the course. You need a little something to pick you up out there so you can really get after a drive or finish on a putt and capitalize.
When you're playing a disc golf round and you're hungry and you don't have a snack on the course, you start to lose focus, you start thinking about what am I going to eat for dinner. With Double G Craft Jerky, that's not a problem.
The Educational Disc Golf Experience is the leading nonprofit organization bringing disc golf to schools nationwide since 2003. EDGE provides age-appropriate discs, targets, break our educators to teach the fundamentals of the sport. In Edge's 20 years of existence, over 2 million youth have been introduced to this great lifetime activity. Be a part of the next chapter of disc golf. Support Edge today.
This year, Prodigy is celebrating its 10th year as a disc golf disc manufacturer. In the beginning of this journey, we found out that making discs isn't so easy. It wasn't too long in the process that something just clicked. To celebrate Prodigy's 10-year anniversary, we wanted to bring an old plastic back that you can find in some older runs of M4s, but it is not a plastic from Prodigy's current selection. You will see this logo more on our 10-year anniversary special releases.
Welcome back, Kristen on the tee of hole number 13.
She's down on the left, but that took a lot of distance off her drive. It's going to be a big second shot. And that just keeps going. That was a smash from Ella Hansen. She's happy about it.
She should be.
I would be too.
She's got a 2-stroke lead going into the last 6 holes. So she's trying to take down her first Disc Golf Pro Tour Elite Series win. Ohn stepping up very quickly to throw. Thank goodness we caught her in slow-mo in the replay, as Ohn right up the center of the fairway. She's speedy. And if you're trying to close out the tournament, Val, we're going to thank blackinkdisc.com, the premium disc golf store. What are you thinking they need to do?
So the players are now back out into the open to finish off this round, and it's going to be important to understand what the wind is doing. From how the round started, we should be facing a headwind for the next couple of holes, so knowing where to land on your upshots could help you score and make the putts a little less pressureful. And you got to have a game plan for 17 and 18. Crucial finishing holes.
That's tracking towards the out of bounds, and Kristen, OB left side.
And with that headwind, she just wasn't able to have enough stability on that sidearm. It just continued to carry straight. I think she was caught by surprise on that one.
Well, I'm thinking back to seeing her on the tee a few moments ago. It was after she had thrown, and I saw her somewhat rubbing her right arm. She was rubbing her right arm with her left hand, and I'm not certain if that was just a matter of how her positioning and standing there, or if there was something to be said about how her arm was feeling. But right now, out of bounds, and looking like a bogey is coming for her. This could be a 2-stroke advantage gain for Ella Hansen, which would give her 4 strokes overall if Ella can get up and down for birdie. But first, Ohn Scoggins.
Wanting more distance out of that shot. Jumping over to 14. Short. Outside the circle. Birdie look for Annikon. And I don't want to look too much into it with seeing Kristen holding her elbow and rubbing her elbow, knowing she's has now come back from surgery, but it is still early in the season, and if you haven't played a lot in the off season, you're bound to get a little bit sore. You're not in that prime shape yet of throwing so many shots in a row and being tournament ready. So it can catch up to you when you're playing these early tournaments.
Yeah, and I certainly not trying to make, or like you said, not trying to read too much into it. She could have just been the way she was just simply resting her hands or her arms as she was standing there waiting for the next throwers, but it's certainly something that I noticed. And Brian Earhart is out there on the ground. Brian, I know you're not necessarily near the tee, but has there been any mannerisms or anything that you've picked up from any of our competitors, or anything you're seeing from Kristen?
No, Kristen's been stoic, just like she always is. I think maybe a little bit more expressive than we normally see her, but again, this is the final round of a tournament, and I mean, of course you're going to see her feeling and expressing emotion right now. I have not seen anything in regards to what you're talking about in regards to her elbow, but it very well could be a possibility.
Appreciate it, Brian, as we saw Ella with the forehand approach. Kristen receiving confirmation from her group as to where they believe she was last in bounds. She'll bring it in with a 1-stroke penalty added.
So at best, she's looking at a bogey.
Yeah, that is assuming she gets up and down from this spot. And again, it's early season. Maybe she'll just throw it in for us and
Yeah, that would be at best.
quiet that bogey noise. She's going to leave herself with some work to do with the putting green. But Kristen likely adding at least a bogey to her scorecard here on hole number 13. Meanwhile, Ella Hansen has had a clean scorecard throughout. That great start, really setting the pace and the tone. And not only did she have the 4 birdies to start, but that was in a time where Kristen had gone even par through the first 4 holes. So gaining some cushion and confidence in the early goings. Kristen then bounced back with 5 birdies in a row, but right now things are looking good for Ella Hansen.
So this is an opportunity for Ella to take some strokes from Kristen, but how many? We'll see.
High left chain for Kristen. That will be a double bogey 6 for Tatar. This is for a 3-stroke gain on hole number 13 for Hansen.
Oh man, just an inch or 2 higher and that would have been in.
So Ella's par will still gain her 2 additional strokes. That's going to double the lead that she had over Kristen. It will be now 4 strokes with 5 holes left to play.
So we've seen Kristen have some redemption on many holes out here today, and it's just surprising to see her make the mistakes here on 13. The 12th most difficult hole. You see about 60% of our field get the par. You don't really even think of going out of bounds, but she held that off to the left-hand side, and then a weak upshot leaves her with this lengthy putt, just not able to hit it.
There is no rest at all. There's absolutely no comfort coming into the final 4 or 5 holes on this course. I feel like you could have a 10-stroke lead and still be nervous knowing what's in store. The headwinds, the out of bounds, hole 17 looming. There's just so much difficulty to close out this course. But Ella Hansen right now certainly in the driver's seat with that 4-stroke advantage. And now heading to hole number 14. This feels like it's a must get, at least for Kristen. Ella would like to keep up if so. And Ella's short. Low release, and that kicks off to the left side, and it's going to immediately open the door for Kristen to step up and possibly get the birdie and gain one of those strokes back.
And this is a hole where you think about out of bounds. It's surrounded on either side, coming into near circle 2, so very tight on either side. And there's also OB marked long. And they're dealing with a headwind, so anything can happen when you get your disc up, and if it's on the wrong angle, the wind can take control.
Ohn too low, doesn't get the full flex. Kristen with an opportunity to at least apply pressure in terms of getting a birdie and possibly gaining another stroke back on Ella, and she steps up and she's going to nearly park it. Comes up just barely short. Kristen trying to pick one back up.
And I don't know if we're seeing her rub her back now, but regardless, that was a redemption shot for Kristen. Make up for those errors she just had on the previous hole. That's more than just a scratch. That's rubbing the spine. So hopefully she's feeling okay.
Well within range for Ohn to save the par. It's a very flat day out here for Ohn. She's had 3 birdies, a single bogey back on 12. And right now is really, I feel like, just trying to fight for her positioning within the top 2 or 3 spots of the podium. Great approach there by Deanne Carey. Deanne sits at 9 under, Ohn at 10.
That is all she needed right there. Just nestle it close, keep the stroke swing to just 1. And I said it yesterday, you want more than a stroke of ahead of your competitors when you head into hole 18. So if Ella can maintain a few strokes, she could be comfortable. very rare short miss from Kristen Tatar.
I'm in utter disbelief of seeing that. Kristen, I know I was just talking back on 12, how rarely we've seen her miss, as Deanne Carey misses from even shorter range. But Kristen Tatar, from that distance that she just had that putt from, almost unbelievable to see it. Of course, dealing with the ripping headwind, but still uncharacteristic. So Ella will escape hole number 14 with still a 4-stroke advantage. And it feels like there may be a force field around Texas that doesn't want to allow Kristen Tatar to stand atop the podium. She has yet to win in Texas. Her chances are dwindling as we're moving down the stretch here. Taking another look.
And just no lift at all as she faced that headwind putt. I'm sure, you know, you hate to see your competitors miss a putt, but there is that feeling of relief. Ella knew that she was likely to lose a stroke on that one after seeing Kristen's drive, but a little bit of relief knowing that they came out the hole even.
Here's Anniken Sten for birdie up ahead on 15's green. And 15 and 16 both play in parallel to what we just saw from holes 12 and 13. So you're dealing with the exact same wind for the next 2 holes, and then it will reverse as they head over to both 17 and 18.
And I really feel like 17 and 18, they get all the glory. Everybody talks about those holes, but if I were playing on this course, hole 15 would make me the most nervous. It is currently the most difficult hole on the course today. OB on both sides as they face this headwind drive. Ella keeping it nice and low. Gonna have that awkward uphill run up, but she's safe.
Yeah, no chance to have that carry up and over the fence to the right with the forehand. Also, certainly beefing up the stability so that she couldn't turn it over into the road and not have enough time to fight back. So really safe, smart shot by Ella Hansen. Exactly what she needed to do. Ohn Scoggins putting a little flex on it, and that's going to head back toward, looks like it hits off the fence and back into the fairway for Ohn. She'll take a bow. Kristen needs to put this in bounds. And she's done just that. Deanna asking for that to come back, and she'll also play it off the fence. As Ohn comes back.
She is just overjoyed that the fence gave her a little love.
Trying to get a little bit of that leader love from Ella Hansen. Here's Anniken. This is for her par now. So Anniken will take the first bogey on her scorecard today. That was it. She had 3 birdies and no bogeys until hole 15. Val, you just said the most difficult hole on the course today. And Anniken running into the bogey on 15. She's battling for the top 5 spots. Right now she's in a tie for 4th along with Deanne Carey, and they are just 1 clear of Haley King.
This tells you how difficult it is. Over 50% of the field have carded bogey or worse on hole 15.
Yuck. That's the word I have for it.
Yeah, that means OB shots, and you see it more likely happen on the drives than the second shots, but it can still come into play. All those obstacles in the middle of the fairway force players to throw a high second shot. She keeps it safe. She's just outside the circle. It is scary anytime that you have to give your disc that height underneath it, and you're kind of relying on the wind to work in your favor and not do anything too crazy. It's those low shots that you have more control over. But with that corral, the pipes, the electrical boxes, the trees that are in between Ella and the basket, you have to give it some height.
It looks like Ella had a legit drive, that's for sure. And this one not nearly as close as she was lining up with the standstill forehand. This might give Kristen an opportunity to get up and down again. If Kristen can get a birdie, that would pull her within 3.
.345 feet to the pin. The full out drive. Great line.
Needs to slow down. And she's gone deep of the pin. She'll have a circle's edge putt for birdie on 15. Ella Hansen and Kristen Tatar have been on the same card 15 times at Elite Series or major events. Tatar has shot better 13 of those 15 times. Thank you to our friends over at Statmando. .323 left to the pin.
Today would be the best day to add to the stats in favor of Ella Hansen. If she can get through this round shooting better than Kristen Tatar, that means she can capitalize on her first Disc Golf Pro Tour win.
Still out there, but not like pink or blue.
I know, but it's like if
This
I'm
is
gonna
when
do
you
it,
start
I might as well send.
Counting the strokes that you have compared to the holes that you have left.
Yep. Doing that math. Here's Anakin. Second shot on 16. She having enough to get to the pin. Well, she'll be able to see it from circle 2. Ella trying to place herself next to the basket. And she's done just that. So Ella will put the pressure back on Kristen. Kristen has the opportunity to pick up a stroke, but she's going to need to make a putt. Now, we've seen her struggle on 12 and 13 with her putting. We'll see if she can make a correction here. A solid bid for Deanne, but she's going to have to settle for a par. It'll keep her at 8 under. Ohn Scoggins. Of all of our competitors that you would look at the scorecard and say, oh yeah, in this most difficult hole into this headwind, I'm picking Ohn for one of the few birdies. I think somebody would think that's a little bit not as realistic, but Ohn Scoggins proving all of us wrong. Kristen for birdie to pull within 3 of Ella Hansen.
She doesn't even hit the basket. The error to make on that left to right wind is throwing it a little bit more to the left of the basket, but she keeps it right, and the wind also keeps it to the right.
She does make the comeback putt. She will remain 4 behind Ella. Unbelievable what we're seeing here. And Ella taps in. Again, dodging another bullet. Kristen Tatar with the opportunity to pick up the stroke. She doesn't convert on the putt. So Ella Hansen now has 4 strokes with just 3 holes left to play. And on so many of the courses out here, you'd think 4 strokes, that's not a big deal. This is all but locked in. But when you think about holes now 17 and 18, 4 strokes is nothing. I think back to a few years ago at this very event, Sarah Holcomb, Paige Pierce were exchanging double and triple bogeys on 17 and 18 and watching that flop back and forth in the last few holes. Anything is possible here, Val.
Yeah, and thinking of 17 and 18, you can go OB on your drive. You can go OB again on your upshot. You can go OB again on your putt. So there is still a lot of treacherous shots. And if you're throwing these shots when you're nervous with the wind, I mean, that's when the wind takes control, like I'm talking about, and can lift your disc and skip you out of bounds. And so these players need to be confident in the shots that they're throwing. If it's a go for, you got to be 100% in. If it's a layup, same thing. You have to be focused on the task at hand.
And we're seeing a layup there by Anakin. That'll put her right next to the basket. That should secure her the par on 16. Now Ohn, shot of 17, low.
Even my head fall out from my head.
And the cut roll. Not a lot of distance there for Ohn.
And negative distance once it hit the ground, I think.
And this looks like it's tracking hard left. This could actually bring the parking lot into play. And unbelievable, Brian, we saw that roll out of bounds. Would anyone even thought of that?
I mean, yeah, there's a little bit of a headwind on this hole, and if you throw it a little bit too high, it's going to get lifted, and it's not going to be able to flip and push forward. So, yeah, that's definitely out of bounds left, Terry.
In the past 2 rounds, I've talked about how boring the tee shot here is on 16, and just throw it out there, anywhere will work, and then it comes down to that second shot as the out of bounds really circles around the pin. But wow, it was a big mistake from Ella, because this hole, it only gets more difficult after the tee shot.
I'm gonna take another look at it. It looked like she just got the nose up right out of her hand, and it just continued to push left. Of course, the headwind just exaggerating it, and thought maybe she would even get saved by a vehicle, but it splits them and then rolls into the out of bounds. No chance of that coming back. Ella seeing the fate of her drive and understandably frustrated. You have so much room to work with. Literally the worst possible thing she could have done. Ohn way out of position on that high right side now. She'll have to throw one of her best shots of the day to get up there just to save the par.
This gives a great visual of how much space there really is on this fairway.
Yeah.
Ella just had that early release and keeping it nose up. It just kind of stalled out and never got the flip.
And if you see the dark tree up around the 10 o'clock position, that's about where I think she had gone out of bounds, somewhere in that area. So she did gain some distance before going out. She'll obviously be able to go all the way to that spot, but just unbelievable to see her push it so far left or let the wind take it. I think you're seeing that van and that white car just past that green, that dark green tree.
And there's still a chance to save the par if she can throw a very accurate upshot, get it inside the circle, or better yet, inside the bullseye. This is one with elevated basket, and it's exposed to the conditions. It could be very windy at the green.
So Kristen again with an opportunity with a good shot here to pick up at least one stroke on Ella. Will she take advantage? This is low. She's going to need it to catch edge and skip. And it's done just that. Great shot. Edge with a birdie look. Deanne will push it out near the sidewalk, but that tracks back nicely. Brian, there's no way Ella was ever practicing from that far left of this fairway. So it's going to be a new shot for her, but what is she looking at from over there?
She's looking at a backhand hyzer. The curb does kind of bank into the left, so where she does get her meter from is not going to give her much of a run-up. So I actually don't know if she's going to go standstill or take some sort of abbreviated approach. It's a little bit of a cutoff angle, surprising for this hole.
And thank you, Brian, as we see Ella getting into position now. And exactly as Brian was calling, not just the curb, but just some of the course assets along with the parking lot right there behind her. So we'll see if this run-up is awkward to her. And that got hung up. She had the power, just not the line.
And with that abbreviated run-up, she was trying to use the height to allow her to carry to the basket. But those guardian trees did not let that happen.
Ohn's third. That'll skip out to circle two, but still a chance to save the par to the elevated pin. It took until hole 16 for Ella to possibly find a blemish on her scorecard.
Yeah, I feel like it's the first big error that we've seen from her all day. Out of the 16 tee shots, to have one bad tee shot. And as you come down the stretch, she's just making it more interesting.
You see her just laying it up right next to the basket to have a stress-free tap-in bogey. And again, that will be the first blemish on her scorecard today. She's had 6 birdies, including 4 in a row to get the round started. And now she'll be giving 1 back. The question is, what will the exchange be like between her and Kristin?
Scorekeeper. Birdie inside circle 2.
Good bid by Scoggins, but that's going to be a bogey for her as well.
Great putt for Deanne. That's a birdie from circle 2.
Getting the jumper to fall. That's going to put her into solo 4th at 9 under. And Kristin looks like to be just inside circle's edge. Huge putt to cut the deficit to 2. And she's done it. Kristen Tatar. The birdie on 16 will bring her within 2 of Ella Hansen with just 2 holes left to play. Val, the most unlikely of places to see a 2-stroke swing is here on hole 16. We continue to talk about 17 and 18 and even hole 15 with all the danger. We would never expected to see a 2-stroke swing between Kristin and Ella. But Kristin buries the putt from circle's edge. She'll be down 2 with 2 to play.
And after seeing Kristin miss several putts on the previous holes, you know she had to be put extra focus on that putt right there and that extra lift in her toes to just creep the putter over the edge. Wow.
This is far from over as they're heading across the parking lot over to hole number 17. Unbelievable. And I'll throw it out there now. If there is any kind of playoff, they head to 15. They play 15, 16, 17, and 18 in a sudden death format, but it would start on hole 15. Here's hole number 17, Val.
17, you can see from the course map, is this dog leg to the right, but there's so much out of bounds on either side. So it's shooting up through this tunnel, and we see Ella and Kristin taking that sidearm route and landing a route here in this position, short of those corner trees. The second shot is another sidearm, throwing over the water to bring the disc back into the center of the fairway. You can take it easy and just focus on landing in bounds, but that's going to leave you short of the pin. You're looking at a par from there. But if you want to put the pressure on, you need to push it on the second shot to give yourself a look at birdie. But of course, anytime you're trying to push it or trying to get more out of the shots, that's when you're bringing out of bounds into play. And in this type of scenario, it's nerve-wracking. The pressure is on for good shots.
And it sets up well for the lefty that we'll see from Anniken Sten. I love this shot. If it could get a little skip forward. Well placed. That's going to be circle's edge for Anniken. Now taking a look yet again at the win probabilities calculated by UDisc. Ella Hansen, 78% win probability. Kristen Tatar at 22%. On the last hole, it was listed at 94%. Kristen, perfect drive by Tatar.
You couldn't place it in a better spot. And now this is when Ella sees her competition, and this is the chess match that needs to be played. It's an advantage to go first.
Deanne kicks to left side. At best, she's hoping to throw maybe to where Kristen has landed with her drive. So way out of position for Deanne Carey. Deanne currently tied for 4th. Ohn on top of the ridge.
In the first round, Ella Hansen landed where we just saw Kristen Tatar throw. Let's see if she can do it again. Leaves it low, leaves it too much to the right.
A good drive, but not great. And certainly advantage Tatar off the tee of 17. And if somehow you're just joining us, we'll recap the last few holes. Kristen had an opportunity to pick up a stroke on Ella there on hole number 14. Here on 15, she had another chance to do so. And the tee of 16, the errant drive by Hansen carrying OB left on the wide open tee shot. She's not able to get up and down. She's going to take a bogey 5. Kristen at circle's edge seizes the opportunity and cuts the deficit in half. Tatar pulls within 2 on hole 16. She's down 2, but currently all the momentum in her favor.
And for Ella, she has looked so in control this entire round. I mean, starting from the tee shot on hole 1, her confidence continued on. It hasn't been until just as she played hole 16 where she seemed rattled. She seemed a little out of control. She needs to settle her nerves back down because this is crunch time. You're still in the lead.
Deanne gets the green flag from one of the kind and gracious spotters out there. Thanks to all of them for doing the work this weekend for us, making sure everything runs smoothly as we look ahead at the overhead from our friends over at Google Earth. See where Kristen has placed herself, the red dot on the left side of your screen. A nearly perfect drive for Kristen, and it couldn't have come at a better time for her. We'll see how the rest of the card, namely Ella Hansen, how she replies and what she can answer with.
And Ella's going to have a tighter angle. Let's see from here. As much as she wants to get it close to the pin, she needs to focus in on keeping this in bounds.
Last year, Valerie Mundahano all but secured her victory with a great approach here. Can Ella Hansen do the same? This is pushing hard right. Brian, Brian, talk to us about that shot and what kind of break she got.
She hit one of the overhanging branches on one of the trees over the OB. She dropped down. She's safe. Still has a little bit of work to do, maybe 150 to 200 feet.
Brian, had that not hit the tree, that was certainly tracking to OB or no?
Oh yeah, she skied it. Definitely popped it nose up on accident and did not give it the flatness it needed.
To be thinking that Ella is feeling the pressure. These two very difficult holes to close out. Kristen throwing the perfect drive. So much pressure on her just to simply maintain and hold on. And that shot heading toward the OB was saved by getting knocked down into the fairway. Another opportunity for Kristen to gain back strokes. This needs to sit, and it does. What may turn out to be one of the most important shots of Kristen's tournament. She puts it inbounds and will have a putt from circle's edge for the birdie.
And I don't feel like it's that risky of a putt for Kristen Tatar to go for, especially knowing she's got to make up strokes. You know, if you have a chance right now to do it, take advantage and then bring it to 18.
Deanne carries third. What touch. Great shot by Deanne. Low and in control.
And we saw some shots of Ella of just that deep breath. Hopefully she's taking a few more of those, but there was some excitement happening here on 18. Elaine King going big.
Haley King will have a look at eagle on 18 as you see the wind just ripping.
Giving us a glimpse of the possibilities out there if you've got the distance. She cannot be nervous on this upshot.
Brian, can you get a clarification? Is she in fact out of bounds down there?
Yeah, let me do some research. I'm standing at a place where it looked like she landed in bounds, but I'll get back to you if I hear otherwise.
And as good of a shot as she could have possibly thrown from that spot. She's picking up her disc from what looks like OB. We see the wall. We also see the white painted line, and she was between the two. I'm going to assume she was in fact out of bounds.
And we consider that an extremely lucky break if she were to stay in bounds. So, you know, you hope for the better, but it was a bad shot. It was heading toward the out of bounds. And so, yeah, just that's how it plays out.
And if that is in fact the case, as it is marked, that means Kristen will have a chance for the birdie. If she converts, they will be all tied up heading into the final hole.
So we've seen her miss a few short putts, but she just canned a clutch putt on the previous hole.
The same distance we saw on the previous hole to tie it. It slides out. Kristen, right side chain.
The wind almost the most calm that we've seen today. Catches a lot of chains on that right hand side and plops next to the basket. So it will be just a one-stroke swing, barring anything crazy happening here on Ella's tap-in. I mean, when nerves are high, you can't take any shot or putt for granted.
And the only reason I was calling her basically already in, I thought she was literally within drop-in range. The fact that she still had edge of bullseye, you're exactly right, Val. We've seen crazier things from inside 10 feet. I thought she just had the tap in. So she will take the one-stroke lead heading into the 54th hole of the tournament. Ella Hansen sitting at 14 under, trying to hold off the world champion, Kristen Tatar. My heart is racing. Oh, so close for Kristen and almost making that putt. So close for Ella and almost staying in bounds. Hole 17 providing the drama as expected.
So as we head over to hole 18, we saw Ella Hansen go for it on her tee shot in the first round. We have not seen Kristen Tatar go for the basket off of the tee. So we know that Kristen's looking at the birdie. The It's a par 4. So looking at the birdie 3, if she lays up safe to the left and then throwing over. Now the question is, what is Ella going to do? How is she feeling this pressure? What is the shot that she's going to feel most comfortable with as she stands on the tee pad of hole 18? Does she just match what she's expecting of her opponent?
He said that he thought he saw it touched over there, but I'm calling provisional. Yeah, so, yeah.
So Anniken calling for a provisional. She's thinking it's very close in terms to if she was out of bounds or not. She was called OB, but just to be certain, she's going to play provisional. Always awarded that opportunity. So a very heads-up play there by Anniken. And right now, as I'm looking at it as well, I'm thinking Ohn Scoggins just playing this for par. She essentially is locked into third place. A par secures her that final podium spot. If she bogeys, she then ties up with Sarah Holcomb. Even if she birdies, she's likely not catching Kristin. So a par is all Ohn Scoggins is looking for here, which would be incredible. I believe we watched her finish in the top 3 each of the last couple of years. And Brian, I'm going to call on you maybe one last time here, looking for the official wind read as we're seeing Ella Hansen with the distance advantage walking onto 18. What's the wind out there?
It is a nice, pleasant tailwind that's pushing slightly to the left. If the players are, in fact, going for the green, it's blowing right down the safe fairway if you're laying up to get the birdie on this par 4. I think it's a coin toss whether or not Ella goes for it. If she clears, it's a very easy up and down to secure the victory. If not, she really has to earn it.
All right, we appreciate you, Brian. Thank you for hustling around all weekend long. This is exactly what we're asking for. Drama all the way to the final hole. Kristin down 1 to Ella Hansen. Kristin winless in Texas. Ella hasn't taken down a Disc Golf Pro Tour Elite Series event, but that all may change in a matter of minutes. Kristin, tee of 18. She's playing for the layup. She's playing for the 3. She's going to put it near the pond's edge. Perfect drive. Ohn hoping that just sits down again. She just needs the par. And Carey pushing left side, that'll be safe. Albeit a very, very short career in disc golf thus far, Ella Hansen has still never found herself in any form of playoff. And that is brought to us along with the rest of the data analysis, thanks to StatMando, but she has never been in a playoff. So if Kristin can push her to that point, you know that her longevity within the sport and all the experience she has, you'd have to give her the upper hand in that case. But first, Kristin's going to have to find a way to tie her up.
And so seeing Ella sitting there on the ground waiting for the second card to putt out, that tells us she's going for the green.
And we also saw that it can be done. Haley King just puts in for the eagle on 18. And Ella simply waiting for everyone else to get out of the way because she's looking to do the same.
And for most players, this is a scary shot over the water. But for Ella, she can confidently throw it 100% full power This is a game plan for Ella. This is how she plays her best. But it doesn't mean it's an easy shot.
Ella does not need to attack the pin. She simply has to get it inbounds and set herself up. If she can birdie, she will win this tournament. Ella Hansen, hole 18, final round, the biggest shot of her career. She's pulled it right. That needs to stop before the OB wall.
Misses her line completely. So far off to the right. She goes long out of bounds over the wall. You know she was amped up on this shot.
She's thinking, yeah, I have to clear the water for sure, but she puts too much on it. If she's going to play to that short right side, and she does not catch a break, that goes over and out of bounds for Ella Hansen.
So a bad tee shot, but she's over the lake. She can still get her par with a solid approach. Puts the pressure on Kristen, who will throw first, mind you. Throw first, and she needs to get the birdie to tie it up. So it's still on Kristen's shoulders whether she wants to push it to a playoff, put the pressure on Ella to walk away with the par, because it's not an easy upshot. There's still so much that can happen.
Kristen can completely change the momentum by putting it close, forcing Ella to make that difficult up and down. You have to feel like Kristen's in the driver's seat right now. Yes, of course she's down the single stroke, but if she can put it close to the basket, that's going to force Ella to make an incredible next shot. Meanwhile, Deanne Carey up and over on her second. This is tracking hard left. That's going to check up inbounds. And Deanne Carey hoping to get out of there with a par.
Kristen has not yet birdied hole 18 in the tournament this year. So this will be the first time she's able to make it happen. So there's no more than 10 feet short of the basket to hit your shot perfectly, get underneath the pin. If you hit at the pin, you're likely to skip long of the basket, and then you're putting back at the water. So accuracy, distance control is crucial if you want to get the birdie. When pushing from right to left.
Kristen's needs the birdie.
This isn't looking great.
It's not. She's going to have a putt from circle's edge. The exact same distance that we just saw the putt on 16, which she converted. 17 she missed. Here on 18, she's going to have 31 feet for the birdie.
So I'm not going to talk about her putt yet, because it's going to rely on what Ella does here. How close does she get this upshot? Can she keep her upshot in bounds? There's still a lot on the line before it puts the pressure on Kristen to make that putt. Whew. I mean, I feel nervous. Can you imagine what it's like for Ella? I mean, being in this situation with the first big win, riding on your shoulders. I'm sure she's shaking. It's going to take a lot for her to calm down and focus in on this next shot.
There is OB left into the water. There is OB deep and right if she puts too much on it. If she comes up too far short, she's going to leave herself a very windy This is such a high-level, difficult shot, and she has to execute it to keep the pressure on Kristen so that Kristen can't just pitch underneath to force a playoff or possibly take the victory outright. This is not an easy shot at all for Ella Hansen. See how hard that wind is blowing left to right. So if she goes with a forehand and gets it too high, it could carry off into the OB on the right side or put her out in circle 2. If she doesn't put enough on it, she could put it into the water. Unbelievable. She's going to go to the backhand, and she needs to put this close. That's just to keep pressure on Kristen to make her putt. Short, low, left. Not a good attempt there by Ella Hansen. That is trouble.
And she will be up first to putt. We've seen her make putts at this distance today. We've talked about her getting nervous in the past, nervous to make putts. Today has been Ella's day with confidence on the putting green outside the circle, but this is the biggest putt yet.
It stops. Ella draws metal and it stops right next to the basket. That will be a tap-in bogey for Ella.
If Kristen Tatar makes this putt, she will win the tournament. If she misses the putt, it pushes to a playoff.
Assuming it stays right there. There is danger directly behind the basket. Kristen Tatar will have to make a decision. She'll have roughly 31 feet for the win. And Carey with the pitch. Just a step or two inside of the circle, so maybe 30 feet instead of 31.
So when you see, that's what you do when you don't have pressure.
Kristen getting a wind read. She is setting up. Kristen Tatar now maybe double checking scores. Instead goes to the bag. Contemplation, Kristen to win the Waco Annual Charity Open. She's done it. Kristen Tatar birdies 18. Taking down the Waco Annual Charity Open, getting past Ella Hansen. Tatar goes 3 under in the last 3 holes.
You did it.
She gets past Ella Hansen, overcoming her on 16, 17, and 18. Unbelievable. Let me clarify. She has picked up 5 strokes in the last 3 holes to take down Ella Hansen, who will come up short and will not claim her first ever Elite Series win. Kristen gets 16 and 18 to do so. Unbelievable. What a battle.
Really quick. PDGA Live is you.
What an unbelievable finish. I mean, to bring it down to hole 18 for that chess match to play up, and to see Kristen Tatar make one of the most clutch putts I've ever seen in disc golf. To see her go back to the bag, grab a brand new putter. Just absolutely insane. Heart of a champion. I mean, throw all the positive words. Unbelievable way to win a tournament.
Kristen picking up birdies on 16, just barely missing the birdie on 17, capitalizing on 18, and with that gets past Ella Hansen. Ella, who looks so in control throughout the day. My heart continues to race. My heart also goes out to Ella Hansen. What a battle that she put up today. And when it was all said and done, 16, 17, and 18, she got tripped up, and Kristen Tatar was right there. We're going to hear from our champion down on the green of 18.
Go ahead.
Oh, you good? They all match. You good to submit them though? You good, Dan?
Ladies and gentlemen, your 2023 Prodigy presents Waco Annual Charity Open champion, Kristen Tatar.
Hey, Kristen.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you so much.
We're also giving you the flag for hole 18.
Oh, just give you this.
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. And this Moto scooter.
What? Oh my gosh, thank you.
Congratulations.
Okay. Yep, just give us countdown.
Kristen, what an incredible weekend of disc golf. After round one, people were talking like the tournament was already over. Changed and things went a different direction. You did not lead at all in the final round until the final hole. Can you just give us your thoughts on the weekend in general?
I mean, it's one of the craziest wins I've ever had, because coming into the last hole, I didn't think I have any chance of winning. I didn't know the scores, and after I had made my upshot, like, then I checked the scores and I was like, Seth, I have a chance to win right now. Like, I didn't know that. And yeah, I already gave up at some point, I felt like. Like, I was like just like cruising, and I thought like, I'm not like playing for the win. That's in my head. I didn't know. So yeah, and then I just saw I had to make the putt. So I was like, okay, focus now. Now's your chance. And I made the putt.
You hit some incredible putts on 17 and 18. Well, 18 more specifically. Did you feel anything different coming down this final stretch because of Ella kind of maybe slipping up?
No, I didn't feel like it because I already thought that our gap was so big that I'm not gonna catch her. After I had taken my double bogey, then I missed like several putts in a row, and I was like, you cannot win like this. But then I took a look at the scores, and I mean, it was right there.
Well, congratulations. What an incredible week, and we'll see you at the next one.
Thank you so much.
And again, congratulations, of course, to Kristen Tatar. And what a battle. Ella Hansen coming up short. We know that this is likely going to be the first of many battles. She is still very young in her professional disc golf career. She also does have the heart of a champion, so you know she's going to come back at the next one and also be competitive. But unbelievable what we saw there, Val.
Yeah, in so many ways. I mean, I have so much to say. I've been in the position of the absolute heartbreak and just giving strokes away at the very end, you know, in the biggest tournaments. And I still think about those losses today, you know, so far in my past, but it is still that fresh. And that's what it means to be a competitor. You have to go through those heartbreaks, as horrible as it feels and as bad of a situation as you feel like you're in. It only makes the wins even sweeter. And once you get your first big win, then you know what it takes. And you see Kristen Tatar stepping up to the putt, knowing that that was the putt she needed to win the tournament, and she makes it happen. And so those are the differences between a player that's still gaining experience to a champion. And Ella is not that far off the pace.
Certainly not. So an incredible effort by her. And again, congratulations to Kristen Tatar. We're going to come back and have our OTB shot of the day. All that and more on the other side of this break.
Is that good? Check out the whole lineup at clashdisc.com.
Usually before every shot, I have a little mantra that I say to myself, and that mantra is all the confidence in the world. When it comes to trying out these new discs, I know that when I'm going to throw those discs, I'm going to have all the confidence in the world.
To anybody sitting on the couch that hasn't played disc golf,
get off the couch, get some exercise, get some fresh air and sunshine. Sunshine gives you vitamin D3. That's the best thing you can do. Sorry.
What makes the Halal Guys so deliciously different? You might have heard of our famously long cart lines that NYC fans happily stand in. Today, with over 100 plus restaurants across the globe, we are your place to experience authentic American halal. Enjoy our delicious falafel, gyro sandwich, platters, and sides topped with our famously flavorful white and hot sauces. Order online today and taste how we make different so delicious. The Halal Guys, bringing something deliciously different to the table.
This looks perfect. Off the basket. Now it's rolling. It's headed for the OB. This needs to sit. Oh my goodness. It's safe. Right on the line. She's going to have about a 30-foot putt for the win. Okay, here we go. The putt is up. Boom. It's in. Strong side with authority. What an incredible moment. Yes. Welcome back. I feel as if we just reshot that commercial. The 30-foot putt, boom, up, it's in. Kristen Tatar, your champion here in Texas. And maybe one of the most surprising statistics that we'll see this weekend is that Kristen hadn't previously yet won in Texas. She changes that today.
Of course she does. I mean, unbelievable finish. And to hear her talk about feeling out of it, feeling like she was kind of giving up because she wasn't on pace like she typically is. She wasn't hitting the putts like we typically see. She didn't feel like she was in the race. And then at the very end, checking the scores before she stepped up to that putt, I think is the most crucial. That was the moment where she needed to know what the situation was, and for her to still be in contention to win the tournament with one more putt to go, that's exciting as it can get in the sport of disc golf. That is so fun.
Yeah, and unfortunately on the other side of that heartbreak, though, is Ella Hansen. She is down there greenside with us on hole number 18, and we're going to be able to catch up with our runner-up in Ella Hansen.
Ella, these interviews are never fun to do, but I just want to say, despite the result, you put on such a show for an incredible FPO field and incredible crowd watching you play this entire weekend.
Yeah.
With that said, I got to ask you, what emotion are you feeling right now?
A lot. Different ones. Jesus.
It's okay. Take your time.
I'm really proud of myself for how I played. Jeez, sorry. I was super nervous all day, like all afternoon yesterday, and so to come out and shoot 4 down in the first 4 and just really stay in it, I was really proud of myself. Obviously, you know, bogey finish is tough, but I felt like I threw pretty good shots. I didn't feel like I could have thrown them a little bit better, but I think for the most part, I'm proud of myself, and I kept it going for as long as I could. Obviously, Kristen's an amazing player, and she clutched up. She made a great putt on 18, and yeah, it was a fun battle. Yeah.
Well, you should be proud of yourself. The way that you're playing is elevating the FPO division to another level, and obviously we're going to see you out here again. We'll see you out there, Ella.
Thanks, Brian.
As Kristen came up short there and then missed the opportunity on 15 when she was given it. She could have gotten a stroke back on Ella there, but then Ella started to unravel somewhat here on hole number 16. One of the most unlikely of holes to do so, as she puts that out of bounds into the parking lot. Meanwhile, Kristen from just inside the circle gets that one to fall in. She'd pick up the birdie there. And then on hole 17 throws one of the most clutch tee shots, putting herself in a great position. Ella gets that one too high, catches the tree. We thought it came down inbounds. It was actually out. She would go on to bogey that. And then when she has plenty of distance, well, in this case, almost too much distance, carried over the OB wall on 18 and then wasn't able to get up and down for the par. Kristen cashes it in for the birdie on 18. And in the blue, we see Kristen's win probability, of course, at the beginning of the round, just below 70%. We see how then it ultimately swapped back and forth. And Ella looking good for those last few until Kristen clutches up, to use Ella's term, cashes it in on 18. Kristen Tatar, your champion here in Waco.
Oh, Terry, you still have a tear. But
what I will say, Ella is such a role model. I've got two girls. She came up short today. She said it. She should be damn proud of herself. I'm proud of her. I mean, it was an awesome battle. And Kristen is an awesome competitor and superstar and an athlete. She got past Ella today, and hats off to Ella and to Kristen. They're both incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking at that win probability chart, I mean, to see them neck and neck, to see them playing so well, to see Ella hanging on until literally hole 16's tee shot. That's when things got a little rattle in her mind, maybe let some doubt creep in. You know, she was feeling like she was, back on her leg and trying to get back up. She knew the mountain she would have to climb to overcome a champion like Kristen Tatar, and it was a battle to the very end. Ella had the opportunity on the tee of 18, and that's just what happens when nerves creep in. I mean, you literally you can't connect your brain to your body. You have all the intentions of throwing the best shot of your life. Those are the shots you dream about, but then all of a sudden, you don't know what you're doing. You don't have control over your body. You're in a situation that's unfamiliar, and that's just what happened. And no doubt that she's full of emotions right now. I was actually surprised to see her step up behind the mic. I mean, that was a big moment for Ella, and again, it's just sadly it's going to be a learning experience, and it'll bring her back stronger for the next one.
Yeah, and I'll just go back to the beginning of the round right off the bat. I feel like there's so much pressure. She's trying to hold off Kristen. She only has her by one at the start, and then she opened up with 4 consecutive birdies. And immediately you thought, okay, she's within her own. Her putt looks good. She's doing everything right. And she did continue to play very well throughout the course. It was just a matter of those final few holes coming up short, gaining that experience, gaining that heartbreak is what's going to push her forward in the future. But it was so incredible to see her come out and do what she did today, but falling short to our world champion and now Waco champion in Kristen Tatar. It's been a heck of a roller coaster here, not only just today, but throughout the weekend on this FPO side. What an incredible battle. And all weekend long, they were battling for some of the best shots that we could find out on the course. And now we're going to close it out with our OTB, only the best shot of the day. Let's take a look. Kristen, who had gone back to her bag for a moment. I thought maybe she was either stabling up with a different disc or that was maybe what she was just going to pitch it under the basket with. But ultimately waits and then hands the putt, making up for the 2 previous ones she had missed from similar distance. Kristen Tatar, just like the bottom of the 9th, bases loaded, 2 outs. And Kristen Tatar steps up with the most clutch play of the weekend. That is only the best shot of the day to close out the tournament. Congratulations yet again to Kristen Tatar. We can only hope that the MPO action this afternoon is anywhere nearly as exciting. We're going to come to you with that at 3:30 p.m. Central Time. For Brian Earhart out on the ground, for Valerie Jenkins of the booth, for myself, Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, again, congrats to Kristen Tatar. We'll see you this afternoon.